what I was saying, the reason I wanted us to sit today and talk about this idea of scaling is because primarily the folks that I support are service-based business owners. I am a huge champion for taking your skills, your passion, your purpose, and turning that into a business that can improve your life, really help you create just a fantastic lifestyle, and also use your work to make a positive impact on the world. Because most people I find with service-based businesses, there is a passion to solve a very real problem and genuinely help people. I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship being a powerful tool for creating a more equitable, empathic, compassionate world. And hell yeah, baby, let's go. So, when we talk about what the heck does it mean to scale a service based business, there's a lot of really interesting information out there. I find that a lot of times for service providers, when they are going to people or content or programs to help them grow their businesses, a lot of times they're getting the wrong information for their business model. Maybe you are going to learn about raising capital and getting investors and funding. Well, as a service based business, generally those things are not going to apply to you. That is more so for tech companies or manufacturing, something where an investor can give you money and can scale you into the multiple millions, maybe billions. That's not necessarily happening with a service provider. And so they're going to start pitching and applying for all this funding and doing all this business planning and nothing is happening. Well, it's because that's not the route for your business. Another place that I find service providers getting really stuck is getting into the online game and seeing where people who are building online businesses are sort of like telling you how to use online marketing tools to build an online business, but your business isn't necessarily an online business. And we've talked about this in the past, where an online business is more so like a course or a membership, or even being like an influencer and content creator, right? But if you are providing a service, somebody is giving you money and you are doing some sort of service for them, okay? You have a really specific trajectory that you're going to follow. And the biggest like block that I find a lot of new entrepreneurs, new service providers are hitting is that they're not really realizing that your sales revenue is what's going to drive your business growth. And so whether you're trying to get a line of credit or apply for loans or apply for grants or find funding, whatever, there's this lack of awareness of none of that is going to really help you. You have to focus on sales and sales revenue and reinvest that money back into the business. And we're going to talk about that today. So when we think about this idea of scaling and what the heck scaling means, it's about at its core, how do I grow bigger without putting more work on myself? How do I make more money without completely being swallowed whole by the business? And so we have to think about what our scaling vision is even before we're ready to start scaling, because we have to make sure that we're aligning our offers and our efforts and our marketing strategies. We have to make sure that that is all aligned so that we are able to continue to grow to the point that we want to grow it. I'm not talking about endless growth, but to the point that we want to grow it where we're not going to get swallowed whole by all the work that has to be done, right? So, I wanted to talk today about this idea of scaling from the perspective of how do we do it without burning out? How do we know exactly what stage that we're at and where to focus? And how do I know where I want to eventually get to? So, I'm going to do something fun today. I have slides for us today. I was saying this when I was on mute, um, that I really appreciate when people who create business content create slides, because even though everything's in my brain, me just talking to you live isn't the best for you because you're not in my brain. And so I've got some slides for us today because I think they're cool and I love when people show slides, and we're going to do it. We're going to have a little slideshow. So give me a second while I share my screen. As I said, being new to Riverside, give me a second. Give me a second. Let me make sure I can do this. All right, this is the beauty of having two screens, guys. Amazing. Okay, I love this. So I'm going to go through the slides. Please feel free to comment if there's questions, if there's things that resonate for you. And also, if you're watching the replay, as I said, participate in the comments after. I'll come back and leave a reply. Just a bit of a heads up as well. Halfway through this, I'm going to give you a QR code to scan. I'll also put the link in the chat. And you're going to be able to do an action plan with me here today because I would love for you to be able to walk away with some clarity and an action plan. Okay. All right. So, what does it mean to scale without burning out? First of all, I would love to hear your thoughts. So, throw them in the comments. But when I look at what it means to scale without burning out, one of the things I talk about is you need to shift your perspective from stopping being the business to beginning to build a business. And this is a tough one for service providers because you identify with the services that you offer, right? You are often the face of the business, the brand, the marketing person, the doer, the seller, the everything, right? And so we begin to identify as the business. And what we have to do is remember that we are a person and the business is its own thing. And it's not our job to be that thing, it's our job to grow that thing. So that is the first paradigm shift I need you to start making is separating yourself from the business. You're growing it, you are not it. Okay? The next thing is that you need to make sure your business is not relying entirely on your free labor. So it is very normal in the early years for you to be working a lot of hours and doing a lot of things, right? You're wearing all the hats, you're working all the time to get this thing going. That's the reality of starting a business, right? But that's not sustainable long term. After the first 2, 3, I mean, really 2 years, it shouldn't go into three. After the first year or two, if the business is still relying on your free labor, this is an issue because it's pointing to the fact that your business isn't scalable and it isn't sustainable and probably not profitable. A great example of this, I was just chatting with a friend and he had his best year ever last year and he was exhausted. And when we went through and added up how much time he was spending on things, and if he had paid somebody to do those things, he definitely wasn't profitable. He was realizing he was not charging enough because if you if you can't pay someone else to do the things so that you're not working 80 hours a week, right? You got to raise your rates, you got to rethink your offers. Your business is relying too much on you doing all these things for free. Make sense? The next thing is you can't get stuck in the same role indefinitely. And again, as service providers, it is very normal for us to again see ourselves as the business, see ourselves as the service provider, see ourselves as the lead generator and the salesperson and the marketing person and the content creator, and we're taking on all these roles and then we get stuck in them and we think that we have to do them. We think that because that's what I'm known for, that's what my clients expect, that's what my audience expects, right? And we get stuck in that role. And so one of the things that I need you to consider is that there are people who are just as passionate, just as talented, maybe even more so as you are at doing these things. And your goal when we think scaling is to go, how do I get somebody else into these roles as quick as possible? Understanding possible meaning it has to make sense. You have to financially be able to afford it, right? But how do I get out of doing all these things and not get stuck into any one role so that I can continue to evolve and grow as the business grows? The next thing, stop being a jack of all trades. And this is a tough one, but I hope also an exciting one. When we're starting our businesses, especially because so many of us live chronically online, right? And there's a million people all day long in your algorithm, getting thrown at you. How to go viral on social media, how to be a master of SEO, how to, I don't know, like uh, make an amazing sales page, how to, I don't know, like all the how to's. Like, what else is there? Like, how to master Canva, how to be the best at Pinterest, how to be the best at TikTok, how to be the best at LinkedIn, how to be the best email marketer. And so what happens is you end up taking all of these courses or joining these memberships, and you're doing all this stuff where you are constantly educating yourself on these elements of marketing or advertising, right? How to do Facebook ads or meta ads, I guess. Like you're learning, 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 learning. The thing is that's not the best use of your time because if you are, let's say, a personal trainer, okay, and you are growing a business around personal training, okay, you are not an SEO expert. Nobody is hiring you to do SEO. You're not a meta ads expert. No one is hiring you to do meta ads. They're hiring you to do training, to train them, to help them get strong, right? Or fit or whatever. So when, sorry, it's so loud outside. I might have to close it. Hang on. I gotta close my window. It's so loud. Hang on a second. Oh, I think someone is moving in. So because you are not hired to do those things, you are hired to personal train, the more time and money and energy and effort that you are spending learning all of these things, the less time you are out there selling your services, right? You need to sell your services and deliver your services. That's your business. That's what you're paid to do. So in the early years, again, I get it. You are doing all the things. You need to look at where is the minimum that I need to learn to be able to figure this out? Or is this what I have to focus on right now? Is my time better spent focus on selling, taking that money and hiring the expert to do it? So just really getting clear on where you do really have to do it and where you would be better off to hire someone. Stop trying to be the person who does everything. It is seriously slowing your growth. All right. Avoid becoming one dimensional. Oh boy, friends, I would love to hear it. When you're building your business, it is so common for it to become your entire world. And before you know it, your business is taking every dime that you have, all of your creative energy, all of your time. Like it just swallows you whole. One of the keys to being able to scale without burning out is remember that you are a whole ass person. And this is why we need to separate person from business, right? And we need to remember to have a life. We need to remember to have hobbies, to do things outside of our businesses. Otherwise, you are headed straight for burnout because you just lose perspective. You lose the point of why you're working so hard. And you'll just give and give and give and give. I like to tell folks we are all going to leave this earth with a mile long to do list. There's always something to do. And this is where we have to get very clear on what is the actual priority, what do I need to do, and what doesn't need. It's like a need to do versus would be cool to do. If it would be cool, but you don't need to do it, maybe put it on the shelf and go hang out at the beach with your friends. It's summertime. That's what I do. In the summer, I have friends that I literally say, listen, I will sit behind my computer all day and work. When it's sunny, call me. Let's go to the beach. I can cut out early, I promise. So remember that you need to maintain or at least work on becoming more well-rounded and not just one-dimensional as this person who is working all the time for the business. And then finally, embrace evolution and change. There's a really great podcast. I'll maybe grab it after if I think of it. And if not, I'll come back and share it later on this tab here. But there's a podcast I recorded with someone a while ago. I love it so much. And she talked about how she evolved through the years with her business. And the podcast is literally called Let Your Business Evolve into What It Wants to Be. Here's the thing with the entrepreneurial journey. Your business and you are going to evolve and grow so much in the coming years. Don't be afraid to let things end. Say, I feel complete around this. Maybe it's an offering you're no longer going to sell because you're moving into something else, right? Or maybe it's a brand that you've outgrown and you want to shift. Or maybe it's a different business entirely. Who knows, right? But I really want you to pay attention to when things feel complete. A lot of times we can track things like if you're feeling burnt out, if you're feeling resentful, if you're feeling just dull, just kind of like you're not excited to get up and go and work on your business, right? That's probably pointing to, well, either burning out or getting too close to burnout, or things are maybe just done for you and it's time for an evolution. Don't be afraid of that. We can be so resistant to change, have so much fear around it. And if you can be quicker to notice, not that I want you to be hopping and jumping all over the place and not sticking to something, but if you can notice that something is genuinely done for you, I want you to honor that and then go, okay, what does that mean? What am I holding on to and not making space for? And where am I really feeling lit up and called to go? I want to say that with some nuance because again, early stages, I see a lot of people not commit and not kind of go all in on something. And that's not what I'm saying here. There's a time to commit and there's a time to realize I've been at this for 5 years and I'm kind of done with it. I'm ready to move on. Or things have changed in the ecosystem where I work. Customers want different things. The buying behavior of my customers changed. This offer is no longer selling. I want to create something else. Like that's different, right? Those are the things I want you to pay attention to. So if we keep going, what does scaling look like for your business? I'm so curious if you do have thoughts. I'd love for you to share them. I want to quickly just check because it looks like I've got two chat things here, but I'm not seeing them. I want to just make sure I'm not missing anything. I think we're okay. So I'd love to hear what scaling looks like for your business. What does that even mean? Okay. I typically tell people there are three trajectories for a service-based business. Generally, the first one is scaling a lifestyle business. So that is when you are still the service provider, right? You have a small team who's helping you run the business, right? Maybe admin support or maybe they're managing your social media, something like that. You have a small team of people, whether they're employees or they're freelancers or subcontractors or whatever, okay? But you got people supporting. It's not all on you, all right? You are intentionally saving and investing for the future, right? You want to make sure that you're not living paycheck to paycheck within your business, but there is some sort of money plan for your revenue, right? What you're doing for your not your revenue, but your income. Because again, remember, your business earns revenue and it pays you an income, right? And then you have obviously have automations and streamlined systems within the business, so things are running smoothly. You don't have inefficiencies where you're hemorrhaging time or energy or effort. You're not repeating the same tasks over and over. These things are automated. Oh my gosh, all the new tech that's out there and the AI and things, the ability to vibe code and create your own apps for your own needs, so amazing. I just did that last week. I was at Vancouver Startup Week and I got to participate in a hackathon and I came with an idea. I really wanted to create sort of like a post meeting flow to help me just reduce the cognitive load in how much I have to do after every single one of my meetings. Like all the places I have to click and open and send and this and that. And so I built this app and it's awesome and I love it so much. And it works and it's fantastic, right? So like this is just a total nerdy aside, but this whole thing with the vibe coding and being able to create your own apps is so cool because when there are these inefficiencies, if you have the wherewithal to do it, you can go and quite easily create your own apps to help with your own automations. It's fantastic. Like, wow. Anyways, okay, I'll stop being nerdy. But you're going to be building automations. You're going to be streamlining your operations, your internal systems, and things like that. We're just because you're going to be the main person doing all the work doesn't mean that you have to physically be doing all the work yourself. Okay. The next thing is scaling to replace yourself. So scaling to replace yourself, that looks like you are less so the main service provider at this point. You instead of the person who's driving growth, the business development, so your sales and your brand visibility, your opportunities, and you're carrying that vision, right? Where are we going to, right? You have a team to support the business and also to deliver the services. So like I said, you're no longer the delivery person or else not the only delivery person, right? You have bigger financial and growth goals. Lifestyle is still relatively small. At the scaling yourself, you're looking at multiple six, seven figures, right? You're looking at something big here. You would, of course, have automations and streamlined sales systems, and you're probably playing more so with thought leadership, brand awareness. You're more in the like, how do I grow the business and the brand on a bigger scale, right? While other people are doing the work. Whereas in the lifestyle business, you still may do that, but because it's still you doing most of the work, you're not going to have the same capacity if you don't have a team. You are more so looking for a business that's going to support your ideal lifestyle. Whereas scaling to replace yourself, you are looking to have a bigger business where there's a bigger team that's driving this vision forward. Okay. Then there's scaling to sell. So this is a simple one. You're building your business because you want to eventually sell it or pass it on to family, right? This is something that you are going to build up. And when you're ready to retire, you've got something that's turnkey, it's profitable, it's running effectively, there's growth potential, and it's attractive to somebody who wants to step in and take over for you, whether again, you're selling it to someone you don't know or to a family member. So if we look at the 7 stages of the scaling journey, this is specifically for the service provider who is going to be, other than the first stage, it's not necessarily in any particular order, but these are the pieces that you need to consider to be able to have an effective, profitable, sustainable business. First one, boom, predictable sales systems and getting to that first 6 figure, that first 100K as soon as possible. A lot of times with service providers, I forget what the stat is. It's something insane. Like, it's something like is it 80% or 70% of businesses never get past 50K. They just don't get past for service providers. They don't get past 50K. I forget what it is. I should have looked it up for today. I'll have to go back and look it up. You can look it up as well. But it's like when I heard that, I was like, I totally understand why. And also, that is horrific. Because 50K, what is that? You can't get very far in life on 50K. Like, I mean, in today's world, you know what I mean? What is that, right? And so the biggest thing is that we have to get everything off our plates that doesn't matter. This is where we talk about stop being a jack of all trades, right? Stop doing things that don't matter and focus on your sales system and having a predictable, a duplicatable, as much as possible, automated sales system. And you need to focus on sales and get to your first 100K. Once you get there, now you have not only the money to be able to reinvest in getting to start that scaling journey, but by that point, you're going to have a solid sales system that you know works, that you can, like I said, automate or hire people to come in and duplicate for you. Or you can now look at marketing and advertising because now you know what is working to attract your ideal clients and then convert them into a customer, right? So, number one, the very first thing we have to get you started on is making sure that you've got a predictable sales system and you've hit your first 100K. After that, we're going to go into outsourcing all of your busy work with tech support and admin support. What's really important as a service provider, if you want to continue to grow, is you have to increase your capacity to sell and deliver more without completely burning out. So, the very first hire is generally relatively inexpensive, and that is to get people to take over your emails, your calendars, like uploading things, updating things, just you know, doing research for you, looking for opportunities for you, all of those things that secretly just suck your time away. Maybe editing podcasts or writing and uploading blogs, whatever it is. It's those things that just suck your time away. And you know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, this random thing, this tech thing that you've been using for years, a calendar the other day, all of a sudden wasn't working for me. Well, not for me, for people trying to schedule appointments, it just wasn't working. And rather than me sitting there, what, on hold with Calendly trying to figure out what's going on, this and that, no, my assistant can handle that, right? And so you want to get rid of those things that are just eating away at your time. And also your mental capacity. Can I tell you, gosh, friends, if you ever sent me an email, you'll know I am the worst at responding to emails. Right now, I have, I don't know, about 50, we'll say leads, 50 people that I need to get in touch with and follow up and book calls with. I don't have enough time in the day, right? So I get folks in on my team to help me with that. So that is that first next step. Get that stuff off so you can sell and deliver more. The next thing is fix the inefficiencies inside your business and streamline your operations and all of your systems. These are things like your you know client outreach and client onboarding and invoicing and your SOPs, your standing operating procedures. Every time you do a thing, what is the same flow that you follow every time? Where can you automate that? Document it, give it to someone else to do whatever, right? This is also where you might be doing, maybe you've got some employees and you need to like really shore up things like your, like, what do you call it? Like recruitment, or like, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're hiring, okay? Your hiring process, your onboarding process, your vacation policies, your sick day policies, your, you know, contracts and agreements and NDAs, all these things, whatever. There's all these things that are happening internally in the business, and we need to get you operationally sound, systematically streamlined, so that things run smoothly. And you'll hear me say, we don't want to be building a business on a house of cards, right? This is what I mean. A lot of us are just running by the seat of our pants. Why? Because we're busy. We're busy selling, we're busy delivering, we're busy marketing, we're busy speaking, we're busy doing the things that it takes to build a business. And everything is living up here, right? And everything is shaky. A strong gust of wind and it all falls apart. For example, if you were to get sick or injured, I had a spinal surgery. I'm just a year now past I had my spinal surgery last year, last May. And I mean, I was off for 2 months, and it's like if I didn't have smooth systems and things running, it would have been a disaster. I wouldn't have been able to focus on healing and getting through, my surgery, because things would have been falling apart around me. We want to make sure that the inside of your business is structurally sound. Next, All right. I love this part. Hire sales support. People who can actually help you with your lead generation and CRM management. And if you don't know what a CRM is, we talked about that last month. What is the difference between a CRM, customer relationship management system, and email list, right? So your CRM, that is where you keep track of your leads, the sales like pipeline, right? As well as just your general networks and opportunities. If you have somebody who can help you, because trust me, people are always like, where do I get customers? Where do I get customers? They are everywhere. And I bet there's already so many in your networks, right? Or referral partners in your networks, right? And so if you have someone who can help you do the outreach and manage the follow up and track all of that, oh my goodness, again, you're going to accelerate how quickly you can get sales without you having to do it all yourself. Step 5 or stage 5. Now that at this point, you should be, if you've gone through these, and again, they don't have to be done in any particular order. Every business is at a different place, right? But if you're relatively new and you've got this stuff going, you've got a good admin team who's running the admin stuff behind the scenes, right? Your system is running smoothly. You've got good operations, good systems. You have someone helping you with your lead generation. You're like, I've really nailed down what is working for marketing and sales. I know what works to attract my ideal customer and pull them in. Now is the time to invest in amplifying through marketing and advertising, right? Now you can hire somebody to come in and help you run those meta ads, right? Do that content marketing, you know, do the things that make sense for your business to be able to expand your reach and expand your just your brand awareness and reach to make your funnel bigger to pull in more people because you have people that can help you. You have the money, so it makes sense to invest it, and you have the systems so you know what works. Then, when you get all of the new leads coming in, this is when we hire people to replace us, right? Because again, scaling is about your expanding your capacity to sell and deliver more without it all being on you. And this is a scary stage because we think, what? Have someone do what I do? Never, never. It's a proprietary system. I'm the only one that can do it this way. Hogwash. I guarantee there are people who are just as good as you and just as passionate as you that can deliver what you do, right? And this is where, again, we have to separate ourselves from the business because the business, it has a job to do, right? You are not the business is doing its thing. And a lot of times we think as service providers, we attach our identity to the work that we do. Very normal. We all do it, right? One of the things that you have to appreciate as a business owner is it's not the person who is the best of the best of the best of the best, right? And that doesn't mean to not be good at what you do. It's not what I'm saying. But we get so caught up in being the best of the best of the best. And I'm the only one that can do this, right? My system is the only way. You know what I mean? Not everyone thinks that, but a lot of people do. We get so caught up in that it's like we're holding on so tight to being the one that does all the work that we are losing out on so much growth and so much potential to make an impact because we can't possibly get to everyone who wants and needs the things that we do, right? Because yes, there are a gazillion people who do exactly what you do, right? Maybe better. Okay? We have to make peace of that. And we have to go, my job is not to be the best of the best of the best of the best. My job is to let my ideal client know that this business exists and we're here to help you. Come on in, let's support you. My job is to be out there doing the business development, not to be the best of the best, the freaking best, right? So appreciate that there are people out there better than you who are just as passionate as you, who will happily come in and do the work, whether you hire them as employees, again, subcontractors, freelancers, whatever, right? But when you get to this point, we have to let go of being the star of the show and let people support, let people do the services, right? Whether again, this comes down to your systems. What is your training like? What is your onboarding like? How do you put people in? How do you find the right people to do what you do? But that is an essential part of scaling. And then finally, stage 7 is to diversify and evolve, right? You're going to get to this point in your business, especially after years of doing this, where, as I had talked earlier about evolution and let things evolve, things will be done. Things will feel complete. You will have grown. Your market might have shifted. Your ICP, ideal customer profile, might have shifted. You are maybe just moving into something new, a new stage, a new business, a new direction, right? So we want to build this business to get to this point that it essentially can run more or less without you. Obviously, you have to still be there, but it's more or less running. It's self-sufficient, and it gives you the space to now diversify and evolve. That diversification can look like diversifying your revenue streams, diversifying businesses, period, right? The evolution can be for the business or it can be for yourself. But that is the goal. We are getting to this point that we are creating a freedom for us to be able to move into what's next for ourselves and what's next for the business. And so scaling is not just expanding your capacity to sell more, expanding your capacity to deliver more, but it's also about expanding the space around you to be able to explore more in your own self, in your own life, right? How do we use our businesses to free us up to get to do more in life, not just work all the time? So when we look at each thing, I'm gonna skip this, but if anybody wants these slides, please let me know. But this is where I just take you through and kind of go, what does each section look like? Do I want to do it real quick? Because I want us to get to doing an action plan. You know what? I'll just pause here for a second and we'll just kind of look at this really quickly. It's because I messed up with being on mute for the first like 7 minutes of this talk. So, number one, when we look at that predictable sales systems and that first 100K, let's come back to that for a second. A lot of people misunderstand the point of getting sales in the first 2 years of our businesses. The point of getting sales is not to buy pretty things. The point of getting sales is to prove that we have a viable business, to use our sales data as market research to understand who our customers are, what is what are the marketing and sales activities that work, what are the offers that work, what's the price point that works. The point of doing sales is to gather data on what works so that we can amplify it, and understanding what doesn't work so we can stop, right? So I want you to kind of consider that shift right now. It's not about so I can go buy cool things, right? It's not about so I can pay my rent. Your sales data is data, right? And we need to be understanding your business, your customer, your sales and marketing processes so that we can scale and amplify, right? Number two, outsourcing that busy work. I already talked about this, right? But these are the things that you want to get off of your plate as soon as you can, because these are the things that are stopping you from selling more. If you consider maybe this kind of stuff adds up to an easy 10 hours a week that you can outsource, right? That gives you 10 more hours every week to go on how many more sales calls, right? And service how many more clients. So the first easiest way to expand your capacity to sell and deliver more is to outsource this stuff. Next, that was fixing those inefficiencies with streamlined operations. So I talked a bit about this, right? Where are we fixing those bottlenecks? The leads that are falling through the cracks, where you're hemorrhaging energy and effort and time doing the same tasks over and over, right? Hiring sales support. We talked about this. Who are the people that can do outreach and book sales calls for you? Eventually can do sales calls when you feel comfortable, but at the very least book them for you. Can stay on top of your follow-ups, can do research for visibility opportunities, can do research for referral partnerships, right? Who are the people that can manage your client relationships? So when you have someone come on board, they're doing the onboarding. They're the person, they're the go-to for questions and tech support, right? Then amplify and accelerate with sales and marketing, right? How are we now using digital marketing, advertising, and automated sales funnels to automate the sales process as much as possible and expand that reach? Service and delivery, we talked about that already. And then finally, evolving, right? What's next? What's next for you? What's next for the business? So when you think about your own vision for yourself beyond your business, this can be tricky because if you are pretty new, a lot of times when I ask this question, I get things back like, I want to have this many clients, or I want to make this much money. It isn't a vision beyond where they're at. It is just a vision of how they're going to make more money for right now. And that's great. And if that's where you're at, then stay there. That's great. Like, stay focused on getting sales. But you need to consider, what is your vision for yourself beyond your business? And this is where we again start to separate ourselves from being the business and go, my business is here to support me and a kick-ass life, right? And so the vision for yourself beyond the business, this is something that we want to consider, right? So when we think about how we start scaling without burning out, this is where we're going to get into some action planning right now, okay? The first thing that you need to do is clarify that scaling pathway and going all in. And that doesn't mean quitting your job. That doesn't mean like if your business isn't ready for that, don't quit your job. It doesn't mean like working 24/7. It just means pick a path and go in that direction. Be committed, right? So are you scaling a lifestyle business? Are you scaling a business that you're ultimately going to replace yourself? Are you scaling because you ultimately want to sell or pass it on, right? What is the pathway that you're going towards? If you're scaling a lifestyle business, what is the lifestyle that you want your business to create for you, right? If you're scaling to replace yourself, where are I guess I say, who are the people that you want to eventually hire? How will you replace yourself? If you're scaling to sell, start understanding, what does it mean to sell a service-based business and what do I need to consider? Again, if you are very early stage, I'm not saying this is going to fundamentally change what you're doing right now, other than I wanted to bring some clarity into where you're going so that you can make sure that you're going the right direction. And I say this all the time to clients. It doesn't matter how fast you climb the ladder if your ladder is against the wall, the wrong wall, right? So number two, expand your capacity to sell and deliver by automating your sales system and outsourcing lead generation and CRM management as soon as possible. You want to be able to get out of the baloney busy work and the overwhelm of administrative tasks. You want to outsource that to give yourself more capacity to sell. And then as soon as you can, you want to bring in somebody to help you sell more. Okay. They don't have to do the work that you do yet, but they're helping you with doing lead generation and managing your client relationships. And then number three, increase your revenue capacity by hiring people to do what you do and go sell more. Right? So simple. But you want to think about, these are the three steps that I want to consider. And I want to think about, what does that look like specifically for my business? Who are the people? What are the systems and processes that I need to build? And then what is my first next step? So that brings us to the action plan. And I would love for you to grab this, grab this right now. And hang on, I'm going to grab the actual link too. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Where am I at here? Hold, please. I have the link on this page and I don't want to, I don't want to like get off this page and close it all down. Hang on. Here we go. Ah, where'd I go? Too far, too far. Come on, guy. You can do it. So scan that with your phone. I'm also going to give you the link here in the chat. There we go. Whoops. Oh, it did change. There we go. Hang on. Sorry, guys. It did change. That was all for nothing. Oh, I see what happened. Oh, you're a butt face. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. I opened it on a different screen, but it changed on that screen too. Anyways, I don't know what's going on. Okay, so scan that with your phone. You can do it from your phone. I put the link in the thing. If you're on your laptop, you can do it from your laptop. But this is going to pull up a Google form. And I'm going to ask you some questions and get you to think about your responses and create your own action plan right now. And then when you hit submit, it's going to send it to you and it's going to send it to me. And what I'll do is I'll read it and then I'll shoot you an email back with any resources if I've got some that I think would be helpful, or just some feedback or some thoughts to kind of be like, okay, here's where you might want to focus. It's a great way for you and I get to have a quick little, almost like a little mini consulting session. Okay. So first, for your action plan, clarify that scaling pathway and go all in. So open up that document, that Google form, and decide, where do you want to go? I want to stay relatively small. I want my business to support my lifestyle. I want a small team to help me so I'm not overwhelmed all the time. And that's it. Or I have a bigger vision. I want to build out a team. I want to, potentially get into thought leadership, maybe. You don't have to, but I want to have a bigger presence. I want to have a bigger team. I have bigger goals. Or number three, I know that I want to sell. I know that I'm building this up because I do eventually want to sell it or pass it on to family. I want to retire. I have a plan. Next step, get clear on what scaling stage you're at. So where are you right now? Have you hit your first 100K and you've got a predictable sales system? If not, you got to start there, right? Or do I need to outsource some of my busy work? Do I need to hire lead generation support? Am I ready to invest in marketing to amplify what is already working? Remember, friends, that marketing or marketers, they amplify what is already working. The last thing you want to do is go and spend, two, 3,000, 4,000 a month, 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month on marketing and advertising and getting a bunch of traffic to your website, a bunch of traffic to your ads and sales pages or whatever, your lead form, and nothing converts because you don't have the right marketing messaging or the right offers, right? Or your sales process could be refined, right? So this is something that a lot of folks do is they go into marketing way too soon and it's just not converting. They're not getting the right kind of people, right? Or when they're getting the right kind of people, their pages aren't converting, right? So, are you ready to do that? Are you ready to replace yourself? Or at the very least, potentially hire a freelancer who can take on some of your client load. This is really common. The friend I was talking to about who does all the oh God, words, Lindsay. The friend I was talking about who realized that his business was relying on his free labor. He does photography and videography, right? And so he's like, okay, well, I have freelancers. I need to give them more work. Why am I doing all of this? Right? Or even if I'm doing the shooting, I don't have to do all the editing. They can be doing the editing, right? So it doesn't even mean hiring a full time employee. It could just mean working with other freelancers or subcontractors. So, what stage are you at? Next, your action plan. Okay, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. This first one is, why do you want to scale? This is a really important one because someone told me to, because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. No. Why do you want to scale? What is your vision? What is your goal? What do you want your business to be able to do for you? What do you want your business to be able to do for the world? Right? Next is, what belief do you need to let go of? Right? What is something that you are holding on to that is getting in your way? Maybe there's some issues that you have around making money and making good money. Maybe there's an issue around a fear of burning out. Or maybe it's that you're trapped in I don't know how. And so, I'm not feeling secure. I've got imposter syndrome. Maybe it's the belief that I am my business. Like, what is the belief that is getting in your way right now? What is the first thing that comes to mind? Next is, what skill or support do you need to whoops. I don't know where the rest of that sentence went. What skill or support do you need to bring on, right? What do you need to do? So, for example, I talked about not being a jack of all trades. Okay. Is there anything skills wise that you do need to learn? Because not knowing this thing is detrimental to your business growth. Or is there someone that you need to hire because they can do it faster, quicker, and better, and you can focus on selling? Next, who do you need in your circle? If you've been around here for a while, you know I talk a lot about networking. In fact, I've got a great video on the 4 types of networks that you need to build that I will pull in. I will throw it in there somewhere for you, or you just go to my video tab and you'll find it. You need to consider, who are the people that you need to know? Who are your best referral partners, collaboration partners, leaders that you want to be connected to? Clients, obviously, but like biz besties, people who have a platform that you would love to get access to, right? Who do you need in your circle? Who are the mentors that you need? The business advisors you need. I'm a business advisor. Who are the people who are going to help make your entrepreneurial journey easier and fun and enriching? Where do you need to become multidimensional and make room for non-work related stuff? Where is your business starting to really swallow you whole and you are becoming so one dimensional? It's just about the business 24/7. We need to look at that and go, where can I maybe put some things on the shelves? Because it's not a need to do, it'd be cool to do. And I want to make more space for my own hobbies, my own friends, my own life. Don't get me wrong, in those early years, you are going to have to sacrifice some of those things because your business is going to take a lot out of you, especially if you're working at the same time, which is very common and very normal. Um, yes, we might have to say no to a few things, but just where else? Where do you become a little more multidimensional? And what is your first next step? What is your first next step? Thinking about all the things that we talked about today and all the stages and where you might be at and where you need to focus. For you, what is the thing that you need to do this month to start to head towards that direction to scaling? What is your first next step? Whew, we covered a lot today. So, thank you very much for hanging with me through technical glitches. Thank you very much for joining me today. I am very curious to hear what came up for you, what scaling means for you, what scaling without burning out means for you, and where you see yourself along this journey, where you see yourself beyond your business and also currently presently in the business. If you'd like to join Future Shop Talks, we meet on the second Friday of every month at 10 a.m. Pacific. This is my first time doing slides with this. I'm curious what people's thoughts are. I actually think because we had some technical difficulties, I am kind of tempted to turn this into a standalone video instead of keeping it here on the live. So I might do that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I have tons of shop talks where you can go back and watch all the things we talked about. As I said, last month we talked about an email list versus a CRM. What's the difference? Which one do you need? We tend to talk on either really technical things or or we get real deep on like again, personal growth and just like the internal side of the entrepreneurial journey and life in general. I got some great interviews that you can go watch on the lives as well. And of course, the video tab has a lot more how-to videos. I recommend checking out the my latest networking one, maybe 4 or 5 videos back on the 4 types of networks you need to know. The biggest thing is that as an entrepreneur, understanding that you are not the business, your job is to build the business, and thinking about what that means specifically for your business model, your customers' buying journey, your offers, and understanding that if you are still early stage, you want to figure out your sales system and get to that first 100K as quickly as possible. And then use that sales revenue to invest in your scaling journey. As a service provider, no one's coming to save you. It's going to be you spending your business and your business revenue, your sales revenue wisely in getting your business to that next level. I wanted to share really quickly. I have a little guy here, a little guy. It's what it is it's actually it's just a Google document. But I take you through some questions and I get you to do a little exercise to help you realize or understand if your business is relying on your free labor and how much it would really cost to run your business if you were hiring people and it wasn't all on you. And it's a great way for you to see if you maybe need to be thinking differently about your offers, charging more, shifting where you're spending your time, thinking about what you can let go of and maybe not do right now. It's an important exercise to do because it's so easy to just literally give your business all of your free time. But that's not building a business. That is getting paid for a hobby you really, really like. And we need to think about business more so from an operations, systems, team building, capacity building, perspective. We need to be a little more, I was going to say grown up, but that's not what I mean. But we need to be a little more like tactical and official when we look at how we build our businesses. It's not just this fun thing I get to do. I mean, it should be. I love what I do. Your business should be fun, I think. Not everyone thinks that. I think it should be fun, but it's not just only fun. There are very real structures that you have to build internally so that you can build something that's profitable and sustainable and scalable that supports your lifestyle. So, yep, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. I have thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. You can join us for our shop talks. We meet here, like I said, on the second Friday of every month at 10 o'clock. Go check out some of my other content. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Definitely like this video. Give me some comments. And that's about it for me right now, you guys. If you want to ever talk about working together, like I said, I'm a business advisor. I work with service-based businesses to help you expand your capacity to sell and deliver more, building a business you love without burning the heck out. And yeah, you got this. As we always say, business building is hard AF, but you can do hard things, and your business vision is worth it. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today, and we will see you soon. As soon as I figure out how to end this live stream, there it is. All right.